Experience the hidden freedom of the soul. Unlock sacred peace, love and favor today. I never expected a single dream to change everything. But as my eyes fluttered open that morning, shards of silvery light danced across the walls, illuminating my room in a way I had never seen before. The air felt alive, thick with energy, crackling as if the universe itself was whispering secrets right into my soul. I sat up, heart pounding, drenched in sweat. Doubt twisted in my chest like a coiled serpent. Could a simple dream hold the power to alter the course of my life? I had spent years lost in the chaos of every day, chasing fleeting moments of joy. The distance between me and true happiness felt like an endless void. Yet here I was, intrigued by what lay beyond the ordinary. I opened my window, letting the crisp morning air rush in, brushing against my skin like a soft caress. Outside, the world pulsed with a rhythm I hadn't noticed before. A hawk swooped overhead, cutting the silence with its fierce cry. I felt a pull, an invisible thread binding me to that creature of the sky. Thoughts raced as I wondered. What did it mean? I closed my eyes, focusing on my breath, letting sensations wash over me. Warmth of the sun creeping across my face, the distant sound of laughter echoing in the park. Nature was alive, vibrant, calling to me. But there were unanswered questions swirling in my mind, like shadows creeping closer. What was I meant to discover? Days passed, each moment filled with a poignant tension, as if I was teetering on the brink of some great revelation. I noticed odd coincidences, dreams that felt eerily familiar and omens woven into my daily life. A chance encounter with an old friend left me shaken and breathless, as if I had entered a realm of fate. Every time I thought about my path, the lump in my throat tightened, whispering of long-forgotten desires and aching wounds. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of deep orange and violet, I caught a glimpse of something flickering at the edge of my vision. It wasn't there, or maybe it was. I wanted to dive in, reach out, grasp whatever was waiting beyond the veil of my reality. I had never felt so alive and yet so terrified. What if I was chasing a mirage? What if this was all smoke and mirrors? As I stood there, the wind howled softly, mingling with the sounds of rustling leaves. Time itself felt suspended, and I caught my breath, an electric thrill racing up my spine. Was it hope? Or simply a light teasing my senses, promising adventure? In that moment I felt a question brewing deep within me. A question I couldn't yet articulate. What did the universe want from me? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The next morning, a thick mist cloaked the world outside, wrapping everything in an ethereal blanket that hinted at treasures just obscured from view. I felt a magnetic pull to step outside, as if the universe was urging me to tread into the unknown, to unearth the magic concealed within the fog. As I ventured onto the dew-soaked grass, each step felt like a heartbeat, resonating with the deeper rhythm of the earth beneath my feet. As I wandered through the neighborhood, I noticed a steady stream of soft whispers, muted conversations carried by the wind, each one a story of unseen possibilities. My path led me to a small, serene park where I often sought refuge, a hidden sanctuary amidst urban life. Today, however, the air felt different, charged with an intangible force that set my senses ablaze. I settled onto a bench, its wood cool beneath me, and closed my eyes, surrendering to the gentle symphony of chirping birds and rustling leaves. The mist embraced me like an old friend. Images flickered behind my eyelids, fragments of dreams intertwined with visions that felt distant, yet achingly familiar. I saw the hawk again, gliding majestically above, a guide through the transitions of life and spirit. Moments passed before I felt someone approaching. Curious, I opened my eyes and was met by an unexpected presence, a woman with wild, flowing hair and an aura that seemed to radiate warmth. She settled onto the bench beside me with a knowing smile, as if she had been woven into my journey from the very beginning. Do you hear them? She asked, her voice soft yet powerful, blending harmoniously with the rustling breeze. Hear who? I replied, puzzled. The stories, she said, her gaze fixed on the horizon, where the sun began to pierce through the mist. This world speaks if only we listen. Each leaf, each ripple in the water, they hold secrets waiting to be unlocked. Intrigued, I leaned in closer. What secrets? With a gentle nod toward the park, she continued, just like you. This place has experienced joy, loves lost and found, dreams abandoned. It craves awareness. You have been chosen by that hawk for a reason. It sees the potential you carry but are yet to claim. My heart raced at her words, a mixture of hope and skepticism swirling within me. How can I embrace it? How do I unravel the purpose I feel tugging at my soul? By embracing the unknown. By gathering your questions like treasures, she replied, her effervescent smile unwavering. The universe is a tapestry woven with the threads of our experiences. Ask, and the answers will emerge, but in ways you do not expect. That I contemplated her words, a sense of urgency bubbling within me. But what if I ask and I don't understand the response? Understanding is not always the goal, she countered, her eyes shining like stars. Be open to the journey itself, for therein lies the true essence of freedom. As she spoke, the mist began to dissipate, revealing vibrant colors that filled the park. I sensed the world around me shifting, as though it were awakening from a deep sleep. The woman stood to leave, brushing her hands across her dress as if to cast away remnants of the dream still lingering in the air. Remember, she called back softly, the freedom of your soul is waiting for you to acknowledge it. Trust the process. Each question leads to another door, and each door opens you to a piece of the infinite. And then she was gone, swallowed by the vibrant colors of the day, leaving me with the weight of her words. Inspiration washed over me, mixing with the unyielding curiosity that had propelled my journey thus far. As I sat alone on the bench, I knew my path would not be linear, but rather a winding road full of signs and revelations. Yet still, amid those thoughts, I found myself grappling with a new question. One stirring in my heart: how might I learn to trust the whispers of the universe without fear of what lay on the other side? As the sun fully emerged, casting golden rays across the park, I took a deep breath, feeling the warmth versus suggestions of rebirth surrounding me. Inspired by the mysterious woman and her gentle encouragement, I rose from the bench, ready to welcome whatever awaited me. My feet instinctively carried me along a path I'd walked many times before. Yet today felt different. Each step resonated with a purpose, a promise of discovery. The park was alive, dotted with families and solitary wanderers, their laughter and conversations blending into an enchanting backdrop. I couldn't shake off the echoes of the woman's words. The universe was speaking, and now I was intent on listening. My curiosity drew me towards an old oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching wide like inviting arms. Sitting beneath it, I placed my hands on the rough bark, feeling its age and wisdom. Closing my eyes once more, I focused on the sensations around me: gentle rustle of leaves, the distant laughter, and the pulse of life in this little haven. I found myself drifting into a meditative state, a quiet space where my mind could roam and explore the questions skimming the surface of my consciousness. Suddenly visions began to unfold, a kaleidoscope of images moving fluidly like water. I saw the hawk again, but this time it wasn't alone. Rather, it soared alongside a flock of birds, each moving in unity, each embracing their individuality while contributing to the beauty of the whole. I felt a profound sense of connection, a reminder that while the journey of self-discovery can be lonely, it is also an integral part of a larger tapestry. Just as this realization settled within me, I was jostled from my reverie by the sound of laughter. My eyes flew open, and I turned to see a group of children nearby, their joy infectious. One in particular, a girl with bright red hair and a mismatched attire, caught my attention. She danced with abandon, spinning in circles, her arms reaching out as if she were embracing the very air around her. I couldn't help but smile. There was a freedom in her movement that sparked something deep within me. And then, as if compelled by an unseen force, she approached me, her eyes wide with sincerity. "What are you doing?" she asked, a mix of curiosity and innocence woven into her tone. "I am listening," I replied, smiling back at her. "Listening to what?" she pressed, plopping down beside me, dirt smudging her cheeks. "Listening to the trees, the birds," I gestured around, feeling slightly foolish for explaining my adult introspection to a child tree's talk? She laughed, her voice tinkling with joy. Sometimes, I said, my heart lightening. They share their stories if we pay attention. Her face lit up with intrigue. Tell me. I want to hear. Her eagerness renewed my sense of wonder. Okay, well, I felt the words flow, inspired by her genuine curiosity. The trees tell us about the seasons, about growth and change. They remind us that sometimes we must shed our old selves to make room for new beginnings. The girl nodded, her eyes sparkling. Like when a butterfly comes out of a cocoon. Exactly. I cheered, amazed at how naturally she grasped the metaphor. As we spoke, I realized that this child, in her innocent exuberance, embodied the very essence of freedom the woman had described, unafraid to express herself, to dance, and to ask the important questions. Perhaps this connection was another sign, another thread woven into my journey. As our conversation flowed like a river finding its way, the question the woman had left me with returned: how might I learn to trust the whispers of the universe without fear? This child seemed to have no fear at all. She merely embraced the wonder of being alive. Before I knew it, the sun had reached its zenith, bathing us in warmth. I looked at her and asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" She thought for a moment, her brows furrowing in deep contemplation. "I want to be a tree," she exclaimed suddenly. "A big one that helps everyone. Then they'll know my secrets." A laugh escaped my lips as I marveled at the simplicity and depth in her desire. "Then you'll need to keep growing strong and wise, just like the trees." Was this child not merely a guide in this moment? Each interaction, every encounter, layered new meaning into my journey. She embodied the freedom of spirit I sought, the spontaneity, the ability to wonder, unshackled by societal norms or fears. As she danced away, lost in her world once again, I was left in quiet contemplation under the ancient oak. The child's words echoed within me. The yearning to share secrets and wisdom resonated in my soul. I closed my eyes once more and whispered to the universe, eager to learn from the journey ahead. Yet beneath it all, a new question tugged at my spirit. How might I cultivate that childlike curiosity as I navigate the complexities of adulthood and find my own wings? The warmth of the sun began to fade, softening into a gentle glow as the day wore on. I remained seated beneath the storied oak, reflecting on the sudden involvement of the child, who had gracefully opened a door in my consciousness I hadn't realized was closed. Her uninhibited spirit lingered in my thoughts, echoing a longing for freedom I hadn't known I craved. As I sat in meditative silence, the park began to transform, the playful sounds of children melding into the rustling whispers of leaves overhead. I closed my eyes once more, seeking a deeper resonance within. With each breath, I inhaled the nature surrounding me, the freshness mingling with the faint scent of earth and grass, as if the very essence of the park was beckoning me toward further exploration. The vivid imagery returned, a tapestry woven with threads of my past encounters. Floating through my mind were memories of conversations, fleeting smiles from strangers, and lingering gazes from loved ones. Each moment a shimmering piece of a puzzle yet to be completed. And at the heart of it all, the image of the hawk pierced my thoughts again. This time gliding above a new scene inhabited by vibrant beings, animals in playful camaraderie, flowers blossoming in riotous colors, each voice distinct yet in perfect harmony with the whole. Just as I began to immerse myself in this serene landscape, a voice broke the trance. "Those are beautiful thoughts," said a soft yet striking voice. I opened my eyes to find a middle-aged man standing by the tree, his presence marked by a calm intensity. His hands were stained with soil, and his clothes hinted at a life spent in harmony with nature. "Thank you," I replied, slightly surprised by the unwelcome intrusion into my reverie. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, gesturing to a patch of grass beside me. Without waiting for a response, he gracefully lowered himself to the ground, a serene smile spreading across his weathered face. "I am just taking a moment to listen," I confessed, wondering how he had entered the landscape of my thoughts. "Good. Listening is where the answers lie," he remarked, studying the oak tree before us. "Each tree has its own story, much like each of us. You know how they say trees call to one another?" I nodded, intrigued. "How so?" "They share nutrients underground, an invisible web of connection. If one tree is weak, the others support it. Humans could learn a thing or two from that, he said, his voice imbued with an earnest warmth that somehow soothed my restless spirit. We isolate ourselves too often when we should connect. What we call loneliness is just our fear of reaching out. His words struck a chord within me. I had indeed been traveling alone since the beginning of this journey, grappling with my thoughts in solitude and seeking answers without acknowledging the gifts of companionship. "What's your name?" I asked, drawn into the depths of his gaze. "That I am called Paul, a steward of this park." There was a dignity to his demeanor that resonated beyond the surface. "Every day, I come here to cultivate the soil and learn from the land." We forget that nurturing isn't just about oneself, but about all that surrounds us. In that shared moment, I felt our hearts converging, a connectedness reminiscent of the hawk's flight alongside the flock. "What do you learn from the park?" I inquired, eager for insights that could help clarify my own blurry path. He chuckled softly. "Patience." "Patience?" I echoed, a mixture of curiosity and doubt cloaking my words. "Yes, indeed. The trees don't rush. They grow at their own pace, weathering storms, blossoming in the right season. They remind me and perhaps youth the importance of timing. Sometimes the answers we seek take time to reveal themselves," he explained, his gaze piercing the layers of my uncertainty. As he spoke, I felt an illusion of urgency dissolve within me. I had been rushing toward the next revelation, striving for clarity without allowing space for the unknown. The whispers of the universe beckoned me to slow down and observe. "Like the girl beneath the tree," he mused, as though reading my thoughts. "She dances without concern for the future, celebrating the moment. We must learn from such simplicity." As the sun began to set, casting a tapestry of orange and pink across the sky, I pondered the insights Paul imparted. That childlike exuberance was not a fleeting phase of life to outgrow. Rather, it was a lingering aspect of the soul that needed nurturing amidst the complexities of adulthood. "I will try to listen more," I declared softly, encapsulating the spirit of my newfound realization. "That's a start," Paul replied, his smile comforting. "Remember that every living being carries wisdom. The key is to find the courage to share and connect. After all, every time you listen to another, you unlock more truths within yourself." As twilight embraced the park, enveloping us in its gentle embrace, I reflected on our conversation, contemplating the threads of interconnectedness woven through our lives. Each encounter, each lesson shared, was a crucial note in the symphony of existence. And amidst all this wisdom, a question remained suspended in my mind, tantalizing yet elusive. How can I cultivate a deeper sense of connection with others as I navigate my evolving journey, one heartbeat at a time? As the sun dipped low beneath the horizon, the dusky light merged with a cooler breeze that swept through the park, brushing my skin like a tender caress. I sat for a while longer beside Paul, absorbing the residue of our conversation like the fading warmth of day. He eventually stood, dusting off the remnants of grass from his clothes, and with a gentle nod, ambled away through the growing shadows, leaving me submerged in reflection. His insights lingered, wrapping themselves around my thoughts like the ethereal strands of twilight. I thought of the trees yet again, their stoic presence a testament to the beauty of endurance and connection. What would it mean to honor that spirit within myself and others? Would I dare to seek those connections beyond this moment, when I returned to the world buzzing with noise and haste? Gradually, the park began to empty, with only the fading sounds of laughter and distant chatter echoing in the air. I reluctantly rose, prepared to leave, but felt a profound urge to pause and once again attune my senses to the stillness. Closing my eyes, I inhaled deeply, allowing the essence of the earth to seep into my being. As I stood there, something appeared, a moment flickering like a candle's flame. In my mind's eye, a cascade of glowing fireflies mingled above the grass, orchestrating a dance celebrated under the cover of darkness. Their luminous bodies twinkled like the stars, reminding me of the beauty in fleeting moments. Each tiny light seemed to whisper secrets of hope, resilience, and the unseen connections that bind us in our shared human experience. When I opened my eyes, the fireflies were gone, yet the sensation they left lingered, an almost electric current within my chest. This sensation jolted a memory. A gathering I had once attended where strangers, united by a common longing, shared their stories around a fire. I remembered the warmth of their voices, the comfort offered in shared vulnerability. In that moment, I knew these gatherings were not just mere events, they were invitations to bridge the gaps between our disparate lives. Filled with a newfound enthusiasm, I wandered the park paths leading toward the exit, curious about who I might encounter on the way. Perhaps there were others waiting to share pieces of their journeys like Paul and the children I had witnessed earlier. As I walked, I caught sight of a woman knitting beneath a lamppost, her fingers deftly moving with a rhythm that mirrored both meditation and creativity. The vivid threads of yarn formed curious shapes, a tapestry of colors reflecting the awakening spirit within her. I felt an unexpected urge to approach her. "Excuse me," I said softly, unsure if she would even look up from her work. "What are you creating?" She lifted her gaze, her eyes sparkling with kindness. "Just some simple gifts," she answered, gesturing to a pile of completed creations, each one an explosion of vibrancy. "They are meant to bring warmth to others. A reminder that we are never alone, you know." Her words reverberated within me, igniting an idea. "I've been exploring how to connect more deeply with others," I confided, feeling a touch of timidness and vulnerability. "Your projects seem like a beautiful way to do just that." "Oh, absolutely. Each stitch is a prayer, a little token of love sent out into the world," she shared, intertwining threads with eloquent ease. "People appreciate the stories behind the gifts, the thoughts that knot together with every loop. Sometimes, simply being willing to share a piece of ourselves can spark connections we never envisioned." Her perspective felt like yet another thread joining my own tapestry of understanding. "It's easy to forget, isn't it?" I mused. "We often hold back, thinking our stories aren't significant enough to share. Everything is significant when it comes from the heart. It touches others in ways we may never comprehend." She smiled, wrapping her work with care. "If we allow ourselves to be seen, it creates space for others to step forward too." A thought emerged unbidden. In my quest for deep connections, could I also offer tangible nuggets of my own experience? In a world so often cloaked in disconnection and solitude, perhaps acts of creation, no matter how small, were paths toward collective unity. As I left the embrace of the park, the evening air felt charged with possibility, full of nuances and inspiration from my two serendipitous encounters. My heart swelled with a question lingering like the twilight stars overhead. How can I honor my journey by creating vessels of connection and shared understanding, allowing the light of collective stories to blossom within the hearts of those I meet? As I made my way from the park, the vibrant colors of the evening began to wash over me, painting the world in hues of indigo and violet. Each breath seemed to draw in the remnants of the day, mingling them with the new awareness I felt igniting within me. The reflections from my conversations with Paul and the kind-hearted knitter continued to resonate, illuminating paths I had yet to explore. Towards the end of the path, I found myself drawn to a small cafe nestled among the trees. Its entrance beckoned with the warm glow of amber light and the inviting aroma of freshly baked bread. I stepped inside, feeling the comforting embrace of goodwill and camaraderie that mingled within the warmth of the space. Familiar faces exchanged greetings, laughter mingling with the clattering of cups and saucers. It felt like stepping into an extension of the park, a sanctuary of connection. As I settled at a corner table, I noticed a man at the counter, wrapped in a conversation with the barista. He placed an order for a unique blend of tea, a concoction I had never heard of before. His animated gestures and enthusiastic voice pulled others into his orbit as he spoke of a recent trip he had taken. The way he shared tales of unique flavors, small-town wonders, and encounters that danced between the ordinary and the fantastical enveloped those around him in a sense of wonder. Motivated by my own desire to connect, I rose, pulled closer by the magnetic energy of his stories. As I approached, I couldn't help but admire the way his words flowed seamlessly into laughter and shared intrigue. "Your stories seem to hold a certain magic," I remarked, hoping to step into his world for a moment. His eyes sparkled with delight. "Thank you. Stories are a bridge, aren't they?" he replied, gesturing for me to sit. "Each one connects us to experiences we may never have lived ourselves, yet feel a part of in those beautiful moments of connection." I nodded, feeling the resonance of truth in his words. "I've been exploring how to connect with others more deeply. It feels vital, especially in times when isolation is so prevalent. There's freedom in vulnerability, he said, his gaze thoughtful. When we allow ourselves to share openly, not only do we unveil the layers of our experiences, but we invite others to do the same. That exchange is where the real magic lies. His insights made me reflect further on my own journey, how the paths I walked were not just my own, but interwoven threads contributing to a larger tapestry of existence. I mentioned my recent encounters, the knitter and Paul, who had both sparked a flame of desire within me to extend beyond the ordinary confines of everyday interactions. In that moment, I understood that connection was not merely an act, but a living energy, shared and received like breaths exchanged between kindred souls. I asked him about his travels, eager to absorb how each place transformed him, how each interaction left an imprint upon his heart. As he enthusiastically described the various cultures and the kindness of strangers, something inside me stirred. A realization washed over me. Each story was a reminder of the infinite possibilities surrounding us, fluttering like those fireflies I had seen earlier. Seeking connections, be it through stories or shared experiences, bore the potential to unveil bonds that lived within everyone, waiting in quiet anticipation to be discovered. As our conversation trailed off into laughter, a faint chiming sound drew our attention, the bell on the cafe's door announcing the entry of a newcomer. The moment brightened as a child, no older than 7, burst through the door, eyes wide with awe, clutching a small notebook and colored pencils. With little hesitation, she approached our table, brimming with excitement. "Will you draw with me?" she asked, her voice a melody of innocence and joy. "I want to create a story together." The request ignited something in me, an echo of my desires for connection emerging anew. "Absolutely," I replied, my heart dancing at the prospect of playfulness and creativity so willingly offered that we pulled the notebook toward us, and I could see in her eyes a familiar thirst. I had seen it in Paul, the knitter, and now in her. Her enthusiasm was a reminder that sometimes, the simplest acts, drawing, creating, could yield the most profound exchanges. As we filled the pages with sketches and imaginative tales, I felt the weight of unasked questions hanging around us, enlivening the air with potential. Could each of us be threads weaving stories, continually inviting others to join that sacred dance of connection? How could we honor our shared humanity in the span of a fleeting moment? As the evening deepened, I realized that my journey was far from over. It was just beginning to unfurl like the pages of our shared story in the notebook. What other encounters awaited me in this symphony of human experiences? Where would my path lead next? And what profound lessons lay hidden behind the next conversation, and each heart willing to connect? Sitting there, surrounded by the warm glow of the cafe and the laughter of shared moments, the world felt wide open, an invitation pulsating with possibilities. I understood that hidden within the freedom of our souls was the choice to reach out, to share, and to illuminate the lives of others, one story at a time. As the pages of the notebook filled with colorful sketches, and the laughter of connection danced in the air, I felt a subtle shift in the ambience around me. The warmth of the cafe began to glow brighter, as if the very walls tilted closer, eager to listen to the joy emanating from our small table. The child's creative exuberance bound us in a tapestry of delighted imagination. Yet I sensed that beneath this playful interaction lay deeper currents, beckoning me to explore further. After several pages, the small girl paused, her small hands frozen in midair while her brow furrowed in thought. "What's a dream you have?" she asked suddenly, her innocent eyes searching mine for the answer. The question hung in the air, both weighty and delicate. I could almost hear the heartbeat of the cafe quieting around us, collectively leaning closer, anticipating my response. In that moment, memories flooded my mind, the life I envisioned but had often neglected, shoving it aside for more pressing matters. "I dream of traveling to distant places," I started tentatively, "to meet people, to learn their stories, and weave them into my own." She giggled, her face lighting up with the excitement of my words. "Like a treasure hunter? Collecting stories instead of gold?" The metaphor was exquisite, imbuing my aspirations with a childlike wonder that made me reconsider how I viewed the quest for connection. "Yes, exactly like that. A treasure hunter of wisdom and friendship," I replied, amazed at how this small conversation had opened up a world previously veiled by my own hesitations. We continued exchanging tales of what adventures might befall us, dancing from dreams of vast deserts to majestic mountain ranges, always returning to the shared understanding that the journey mattered as much as the destination. As our collaboration continued and more stories spilled onto the pages, the door of the cafe opened again, allowing a chilly breeze to swirl inside. An elderly gentleman, his face weathered yet spirited, stepped in, scanning the room as if weighing the weight of opportunity around him. For a moment he stood there, more a silhouette against the glowing backdrop of warmth and light. Something within me stirred again. I felt a call to reach beyond my table, to pull him into this vibrant tapestry unfolding before my eyes. I exchanged a glance with the child, who nodded eagerly, and felt her youthful encouragement wrap around me. "Would you join us for a story?" I found courage to call out, my voice threading through the air toward him. The man turned, his deep-set eyes sparkling with surprise. Without hesitation, he shuffled closer, asking what kind of tales we were weaving. "Stories of dreams and adventures." The child piped up, her voice a musical note against the backdrop of lively conversations bustling around us. "What is your dream?" His smile widened, illuminating years of untold experiences. With enthusiastic assurance, he sat and began to share. "I always dreamed of being a painter. Long ago, I traveled and painted the landscapes I'd see, but life pulled me down other paths," he said, his eyes glistening with distant memories. "Still, the colors never left me. They always found a way to come alive in the tales I shared." As he spoke, I realized his journey mirrored my own. Dreams, once set aside in the pursuit of the mundane, still held glimmers of life within them, waiting to be rekindled. There was a fire in each person, a flickering ember of dreams that could be reignited, nurturing connections that span generations and realities. Soon the stories flowed back and forth, weaving intricate patterns among us, creating a fabric of collective remembrance and shared aspirations. Our laughter merged, a melody of youth and age harmonizing in a way that transcended, to me, a beautiful reminder that dreams bind us, a chorus of human experience. Yet as the warmth of laughter spread through the cafe, I was aware of other threads still unfurling within me, questions lingering beyond our joyful exchange. What happens to the dreams we let fade away? Do they simply dissipate? Or do they transform into something new, something waiting to be rediscovered? As the evening drew on, I felt the depth of our conversations, revealing that each connection was a sacred thread in the filigree of life itself. What lay before me was not only a passion to meet souls around the world, but also an unending journey of uncovering pieces of myself through every person I am. In that vibrant cafe, surrounded by shared laughter and dreams once again ignited, I pondered the infinite possibilities ahead. What would it mean to carry this conversation beyond this moment? How could I honor the wisdom exchanged here? And could the stories I embraced and collected help me unlock the hidden freedom slipped between the lines of those dreams still yet unrealized? The sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow that shimmered through the cafe windows, illuminating our circle as we shared our stories. With each tale, I felt a gentle awakening within me, as if the very essence of our gathering was stirring the dormant spirit inside. It was then the elderly gentleman leaned in closer, his voice now softer, almost reverent. "There are places in this world that remember," he began, his gaze far away as if he were watching scenes unfold in landscapes untouched by time. "They hold the whispers of those who wandered before us. And if you listen closely, they might share their secrets with you." His words clung to the air, saturated in invitation and possibility. Immediately, I felt an urge to step beyond the realm of ordinary awareness, to seek out these enchanted places he spoke of. What lay within them? Could they reveal truths obscured by the busyness of life? The child, sensing the energy shift, asked, "Have you found any of those places?" Her innocent curiosity conveyed an understanding not born of age but of connection, the kind we cultivated together in our storytelling. With a twinkle in his eye, the gentleman recounted an adventure of his own. "I once found a glade so still that even the trees hushed their leaves. In the center was a spring, its waters pure and clear, reflecting the sky as if it held the universe within. I sat there for hours listening." "Listening? What did you hear?" I probed, drawn into his enchantment, yearning to touch that moment of stillness through his words. "The water taught me stillness, how to embrace the chaos of life with peace." In that pause, I discovered the courage to paint again, to share those colors with the world. It revealed that our dreams could flow freely when surrendered to nature, to silence. Just then, the door swung open once more, and in strolled a young woman cloaked in vibrant scarves. She scanned the room with an openness that drew the attention of everyone. Curiously, she approached our table, as if called by some deeper knowing, and asked, "What treasures are you sharing here?" The child beamed, eager to share our stories of dreams and adventures. As she recounted our conversation, I couldn't help but notice how the newcomer leaned closer, her eyes flickering with shared wonder. When the child finished, the woman introduced herself as Mia, a traveler and seeker of stories. "The world sings when you give it space to breathe," she said, her voice richly woven with experience. "Sometimes you find these magical places without realizing it, until you reflect upon the journey." The air thickened with anticipation as Mia continued, speaking of hidden paths and sacred spaces where divine encounters awaited, places much like the glade the gentleman remembered. Each word painted a tapestry of possibility, rooting deep within me an understanding of a path I had yet to tread. It dawned on me that these exchanges were not circumstance but guided threads, weaving through the fabric of my own journey. Each person carried with them a piece of the sacred, and perhaps each story I sought and shared could illuminate parts of my own hidden freedom. As the conversation swirled, a sense of quietude filled our circle. It was palpable, a sign that echoed the reflections of my soul, a tranquil reminder to listen, to pause, to let the dreams unfold rather than chase them too fiercely. The evolving dialogue began to awaken a realization within. I could not grasp the depth of my own freedom until I embraced the ebb and flow of life's narratives, connecting my dreams with the stories others offered. That I in the fading light of the day, we exchanged contact information, promises to share more stories that would traverse both distance and time. As I watched Mia's vibrant scarf swirl around her as she departed, embarking on a journey unknown, I felt a stir in my spirit that urged me to reflect deeper. What would it take for me to find those sacred spaces in my life, as the man did by the spring? How could I cultivate a listening heart, both within and without, to discover the revelations hiding in silence? As we gathered our sketches and remnants of our gathering, the warmth of the cafe lingered, but beyond it, the world outside shone with the potential of untraveled paths and stories yearning to be told. In this moment, poised between past and future, I felt a flicker of something greater, a mystery waiting to unravel. What other treasures of wisdom and freedom lay hidden beneath the surface of my own life, awaiting the courage to listen? Days passed since the gathering, yet the echoes of laughter, stories, and shared histories clung lovingly to my heart, like a warm shawl on a winter's eve. Each sunrise, with its gentle hues, urged me towards exploration, and an insatiable curiosity began to guide my footsteps. I envisioned the glade from the gentleman's tale, where a spring mirrored the cosmos and nature whispered truths for those willing to listen. With a small backpack and an open heart, I ventured out one misty morning, uncertainty tugging at the corners of my mind. I wandered through bustling city streets, their noise a stark contrast to the serene stillness I craved. Every face I passed held its own story, but I remained tightly woven in my quest to find a sacred space, an oasis for reflection amidst chaos. Then, turning a corner onto an unmarked path, I stumbled upon a hidden park that felt enchanted, as if it had emerged from the fabric of dreams. The air was imbued with the fragrance of blooming flowers mixed with the earthy scent of damp soil, a refreshing embrace that felt familiar yet completely new. The trees stood tall, wise sentinels of time, their leaves rustling in agreement with the gentle winds that whispered through them. That I chose a weathered bench beneath an oak, its gnarled branches extending like arms welcoming me to rest. I closed my eyes, recalling the gentleman's revelation of surrendering to silence. The sounds around me morphed into a symphony. Laughter of children, soft chirps of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the distant echo of a fountain's trickle. In that moment of stillness, thoughts began to drift, a flurry of memories, feelings, and dreams all dancing in unison. But beyond the cognitive whirlpool, there lay a deeper invitation, to simply be. With each breath, I felt layers of tension release, as if the weight of unfulfilled expectations dissolved into the earth beneath me. As I surrendered to this peace, a figure emerged from the underbrush, a bewildered squirrel. It paused, seemingly intrigued, as if it perched upon the precipice of understanding. I chuckled softly, recognizing the shared curiosity. I reached into my backpack, producing a few sunflower seeds. The tiny creature's eyes lit up with curiosity, and for a fleeting moment we shared a silent connection. It approached hesitantly, and I held out my open palm. Could this be a metaphor for my soul's journey? How often had I hesitated to approach my own dreams, to seek nourishment from the possibilities waiting just beyond my reach. The squirrel snatched a seed, darting away before returning for more, and suddenly, the idea struck me didn't need to fully grasp the essence of my quest before taking small steps. It was enough to embrace the unfolding, to allow the universe to guide me along its winding paths. Shortly after, I felt a presence behind me, a woman, perhaps a few years older, her hair cascading like sunlight through leaves. She sat down on the opposite side of the bench, eyes filled with kindness and a spark of recognition. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her voice a gentle breeze over the stillness. "This park holds stories that bridge the townsfolk with the earth. When was the last time we truly listened to nature's reflections?" I turned to her, feeling a kinship unformed through words. "I came here seeking a sense of stillness, a sacred space to unravel my thoughts." She nodded knowingly, but stillness often leads to movement, as one discovers hidden freedom in making room for the unknown. Our souls flourish when we embrace uncertainty. Wouldn't you agree? Intrigued, I asked her name, and soon we exchanged stories about our journeys of self-discovery. She spoke of her own wilderness experiences, finding solace in nature's embrace years after losing her way. Each word from her lips was infused with a profound wisdom, lessons learned through heartache and resilience. As our conversation wove threads of understanding, she leaned closer and whispered, "The world craves our stories, the truths that intertwine. Perhaps, what you seek lies not only within sacred spaces but also in the connections we forge on this journey." Her words struck a chord within me, resonating with the truth I felt in the gentleman's tale, the interconnectedness of all our narratives. Each encounter was a breadcrumb leading to fuller revelations of ourselves and the world, where sacred peace manifested through shared experiences. As she rose to leave, an unceremonious light filled the space around us. She smiled warmly. "Remember, sometimes we can't see the paths laid out ahead, but the act of seeking opens doors to the unseen." Lost in reflection, I sat on the bench long after she departed, still replaying her words. A pensive thought emerged. Could the act of listening, both to nature and to the stories of others, be the key to accessing those hidden rivers of freedom? How could I cultivate this further, in both the quiet moments and in the vibrant chaos of life? The unraveling mystery danced before me like rippling water, beckoning me to explore deeper. With the memory of the park and her parting wisdom swirling in my mind, I left with an invigorated spirit. What other discoveries awaited me, lingering in the sacred spaces of both the world and my heart? Each day brought new experiences that stitched together the fabric of my evolving truth. Over the weeks that followed, I wandered not just through parks and cafes, but also into the depths of conversations that seemed to unfurl effortlessly. The stories began to flow, weaving a greater sense of purpose that connected me to a community beyond my own understanding. I met writers and musicians, artists and dreamers, each sharing their journeys, their failures, their triumphs, all punctuated by the universal thread of longing for connection. With each interaction, the whispers of the universe became increasingly vivid. I found myself at open mic nights where laughter and poetry flowed like rivers, and where I wrapped my heart around words that resonated deeply, words that spoke of both solitude and the powerful bond we all share in our search for meaning. Each story I heard became a layer in my own unfolding, brightening the shadows that once cloaked my heart in uncertainty. But it was during a quiet afternoon in a sun-drenched park that the moment of revelation crystallized. I had taken refuge under the expansive branches of my favorite oak tree. Pages of a journal sprawled open before me, an ongoing narrative of my reflections and dreams. As I listened to the world around me, the rustle of leaves mingling with the laughter of children, I was enveloped by gratitude for this vibrant tapestry of life. Suddenly, a gentle nudge interrupted my thoughts. A small boy, no older than 7, with a mischievous grin, sat beside me, eyes gleaming with curiosity. "What are you writing?" he asked, tilting his head in eager inquiry. I looked down at my incomplete sentences, the words pouring from the heart like a river free from restraint. "I'm writing about dreams," I replied, a smile creeping onto my face. "What about you? What do you dream of?" "Flying," he shouted instantly, arms wide open as if he were already soaring through the sky. "One day you'll have wings." His response ignited something within me, and I couldn't help but laugh, the innocence of his ambition striking a chord. "Wings, huh? And what do you see when you fly?" "Everything," he exclaimed, his eyes now sparkling with the light of 1,000 constellations. "I see the whole world and everyone running and playing, and all the animals." And as he spoke, I felt my chest tighten, the pure joy radiating from him serving as a reminder of the beauty of unfiltered dreams. Suddenly, it struck me the brilliance of what he was inviting me to ponder. "And what makes you happy?" I asked, encouraged by his abandon. "Dancing," he replied without a moment's hesitation. My heart swelled. "Then fly and dance. Life is about moving to the rhythm of your dreams." In that instant, a rush of understanding swept through me. It was a culmination of all the encounters and stories I had gathered, bound by this boy's naive, yet profound, longing to embrace life in all its colors. I realized that my journey had always been about more than just my own awakening. It was an invitation to encourage others to embrace their unique narratives, to fly in their own beautiful ways. As he dashed off to join friends in an impromptu game of tag, the understanding settled warmly within me. Remembered each encounter, each moment spent talking, sharing, and listening. I was not just a passive observer of this world. I was a participant, an integral part of a collective awakening. I glanced down at my journal and began writing again, but this time the words flowed differently. They danced across the page, no longer bound by self-doubt or fear. They were expressions of hope and connection, marveling at the beauty of each soul that crossed my path. I noted how vulnerability had stitched my story together with others, how sharing our dreams had birthed a woven tapestry of spirit that reflected the intricate nature of existence itself. I realized that the hidden freedom of the soul does not flourish in isolation but rather thrives in the warmth of openness. Courage found amid shared dreams, struggles, laughter, and the simple joy of being seen and heard. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting an ethereal glow across the sky, I closed my journal and took a moment to breathe deeply. I let the ambience of the park embrace me, the laughter of children wrapping around my heart like a beloved melody. I felt gratitude surge for each encounter, for the lost and found moments threaded through my life, illuminating the significance of my journey. With newfound clarity, I resolved to take these lessons into my interactions, to remain open to connection, to give voice to my dreams as well as those of others, the hidden narratives waiting to unfold. Life was the ultimate dance, and each step I took would resonate with the echoes of stories exchanged as I prepared to leave. The boy waved from afar, his laughter mingling with that of his friends, serving as a reminder of the power of unbridled joy, of dreams chased as we danced through life together. The horizon shimmered with promise and the universe seemed to hum in tune with my heartbeat. In that moment, I knew deep within me the truth that freedom lies not in a solitary path, but in the intricate dance of souls united, the whispers of our stories mingling, creating a symphony that reverberates beyond our own understanding. With every breath, I carried forth the essence of this revelation, illuminating the path ahead, knowing that the universe would continue to guide me, shimmering with reflections of both my inner and outer journeys to be shared. And as I ventured back into the world, I held close the powerful truth that to embrace one's spirit is to call forth the shimmering light within others, revealing the hidden freedom of the soul that binds us all across the tapestry of existence.